as an uppercase calorie. So this is the amount of energy required to raise the temperature of 1 milliwatt 1,000 degrees, or 1,000 mils 1 degree, or does it matter?
It's 1 liter.
We can't raise the temperature of water to 1,000 degrees because it boils at 100. So we can't get it any higher than that unless we change altitude. So it would be 1,000 mils of water, 1 degree. Okay. This is determined by bomb calorimeters, where they take the food and place it in a small thick-walled container and actually burn it and measure the amount of energy that's released. When you look on a package and it says that a slice of bread is 110 calories, which of these two values are we talking about, the calorie or the kilocalorie?
Kilocalorie.
The kilocalorie. Okay, so it's the uppercase calorie. How does that relate to basal metabolic rate?
That's how many calories your body needs just to function.
Okay, not to think that you're alive, not to do 1 + 1 = 2, but just to maintain consciousness. Okay? So that's the basal metabolic rate, is the number of calories, typically done in a day, but you can break it down, needed to stay alive, not to do your homework, not to fix food. And typically this is given in the range of 1,000 to 1,200 calories. And then you would, pardon?
Big cal?
Yes, big calories, kilocalories. And then you would, if you wanted to know what you need to do to gain weight or lose weight, you would add your daily activities on top of that. Okay? This can be most accurately measured by placing you in a closed room or wearing a mask and measuring the amount of oxygen utilization that you produce, that you require. Because directly related to the oxygen is the amount of ATP that you're producing that you need for energy. So that can be, there's a formula that you can measure that from the oxygen usage. Now, basal metabolic rate typically is, most nutritionists would tell you that your body needs a certain number of calories and there's nothing you can do to change that. Okay? Talk to any number of people that have tried to lose weight and they'll say, you know, for myself, I had a classmate in nursing school who would drink a milkshake every night trying to gain weight. And there are those of us that maybe, you know, if we don't eat dinner and don't eat breakfast, we could afford a milkshake for the day. But if we drank one every night, we would gain weight. So people do have various metabolic rates. And that's affected, obviously, by hormones. We're not even talking about energy activity. Obviously, if you are out there doing a lot of physical work, you're going to require more energy. But you can change your basal metabolic rate, obviously, set by the hypothalamus and affected by hormones such as the thyroid gland. And so if your body has the receptor activation such that it feels that you're in a starvation mode, it will reset your basal metabolic rate to a lower rate. There's a ton of good and bad science out there. You can spend a bunch of money resetting your basal metabolic rate. You can go online and there's all sorts of things you can buy, CDs and stuff on how to gradually reset a higher basal metabolic rate. Okay? But that essentially is referring to the amount of energy the cells, all the cells in total of your body require just to maintain their life and their normal mitotic event. Now, anything above that, of course, will require additional energy. What's the difference between malnutrition and malnourishment?
Malnutrition is you get enough calories, just not the right nutrients.
Other way around. Malnutrition refers to the proper balance of vitamins and minerals and proteins and carbs and fats. Nourishment refers to calorie intake. All right? So if I needed a minimum of 1,200 calories, and I got all 1,200 calories by eating avocados, I would have proper nourishment, but I would have malnutrition because I wouldn't have sufficient balance of proteins and carbs, and I may not get all the vitamins that I need. Okay? Now, I could take vitamin pills and eat 5 gummy bears a day and get 3 times the vitamins I need without any calories, except for maybe the 50 calories each gummy bear was. It was the vitamins. So I could get maybe 200 calories, but all of the vitamins, obviously I wouldn't have the proper protein, without getting enough calories. Okay? So nourishment is the energy proportion. Do I have enough of my calories to match my basal metabolic rate or above? Nutrition is the balance of protein, carbs, vitamins, minerals, lipids, and so on. All right, so I've got 1 minute, 3 minutes. There's a plane flying over Sonoran Desert. The pilot was a 90-year-old former, could be 90 and still be World War II. Okay, Korean vet, a guy. On board was his 30-year-old granddaughter who had just had a baby. Okay. Her brother, she was a well, I said she was 30. She hadn't lost her baby fat yet. Okay, so she's about 60 pounds overweight. Her 16-year-old brother is on board as well. Although he's a little young, he started bodybuilding. And he's a wrestler. He's trying to move up to a higher weight wrestler. So the 90-year-old, the 30-year-old, the baby, and the baby's uncle are on the plane. And they crash. Without knowing how much water or food is on board, which one would have the better chance of survival? The grandfather and the baby, their age is against them. Hypothalamus has aged and is losing its ability to regulate temperature regulation and water hydration regulation. The baby hasn't developed that, plus the baby has a lot of surface area, so to get cold and get hot at night and so on, even though the mother would want to take care of it. So we're left with the mother who's about 60 pounds overweight and her brother who's got way too much muscle. So why is the mother better off?
Because muscle has a higher maintenance cost.
Okay, muscle has a higher what?
Maintenance cost.
Muscle has a higher maintenance cost, plus when you break it down, by maintenance cost, I'm looking at water. Okay, so in breaking down muscle, what is our waste?
Nitrogen.
Nitrogenous waste, and that requires water to dilute it as we flush it out. Plus, the adipose tissue has a higher energy density. Adipose tissue has about 9 grams of 9 calories per gram available when we pass it through our bomb calorimeter. Okay? So if any of you are planning on going hiking in the desert this summer, start piling on, eat those avocados, start drinking those milkshakes. You'll have a better chance of survival. Okay. All right, so on Tuesday, I won't even say Monday. On Tuesday, we will, of course, be back in our other room. We don't have a lab assigned. Anybody doing case studies in here? Okay, case studies? Are you doing it with them? Okay, so case study. We have our lab quiz, which is going to be primarily histology. You get an awareness of that. So, and I would also like to bring in our cadaver Tom, so you can see the structures on him. Lecture will be relatively short. All right, I could do a whole semester just on the hormones, but we're going to look primarily at thyroid again, cortisol, insulin and glucagon, and norepinephrine for their function in changing blood levels of amino acids, fatty acids, and glucose. Okay, so that won't take so very long to go through. So we'll have enough lab time for the case studies, model and microscope studies as well, and then we'll take the quiz a little bit later on into the lab time so you can review those microscope components. And if you keep your fingers crossed, I might have your exams graded by then. Mother's Day only needs to last for an hour, right?
Notes, ever.
Your kids are in the